At the end of my long and stressful freshman year, I was thankful for many things. I had learned a lot, made new friends, and had received A grades in English and Spanish, B's in military science, and C pluses and C's in my other courses, with an overall B average. However, I was not satisfied and was determined to do better my second year. And now I was going home. I had not seen my family since Christmas, so I was excited to spend time with them that summer. I returned to Bonetti Ranch, having gained knowledge as well as weight. I left for college weighing 129 pounds and returned home 30 pounds heavier. "What happened to you?" Trumpita exclaimed. "Did someone mistake you for a tire and blow you up?" "It's all muscle," I flexed my forearm. "Sure, Panchito, you mean love handles." He grabbed both sides of my waist and gave me a light punch in the stomach. Torito, Aurora, and Ruben, who had grown some, laughed hysterically and took turns hugging me. "Welcome home, mijo," my mother said, caressing my face. "Your cheeks are so chubby," Trampita chimed in. "No seas malcriado, mijo," my mother said. "Don't be impolite, Rosie," she said, completing her sentence. From the corner of my eye, I saw my father sitting on the front steps to our barack. He had been watching us and smoking. He caught my eye and feigned a smile. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. "He's not well, mijo," my mother whispered. Her eyes welled up. I went up to him, knelt down, and hugged him. "¿Cómo estás, Panchito?" he asked after flipping his cigarette butt to the side. His voice was weak. His feeble body seemed to disappear in his baggy and faded clothes. I'm fine, Papa. It's good to be home, is it?" he asked, straining to stand up. I did not respond. I knew how he felt about my leaving home. He did not like for our family to be apart. It upset him to see Roberto leave our home when he got married, and he was saddened when I went away to college. "Why don't we all go in and have dinner?" my mom said. I cooked Panchito's favorite meal, carne de puerco con chile frijoles, and fresh flour tortillas. "I missed your cooking, Mama." The cooking at the university was too bland. As we sat at the table, I noticed that the linoleum floor, which we had put together with scraps of different colors and shapes we had found in the city dump, was worn out. The cupboard which divided the kitchen and dining area was broken. Roberto had made it in his high school woodshop class, and he had built a planter on top and filled it with plastic flowers. The artificial flowers were not gone. At supper, my mother, brothers, and sister asked me endless questions about college, just like they had at Christmas time. Again, I told them about Smokey, my classes, and my professors. My father was silent and distant. As he shifted his body, trying to find a comfortable position, he dropped his fork. No sooner had it hit the floor than he asked for someone to pick it up. "No hay nadie que lo recoja," he said. "Is there no one to pick it up?" Torito, who was sitting next to him, quickly reached down to get it. Seeing this as an opportunity to engage my father in our conversation, I said, "Papa, did you know that the word naiden should really be naidi? This is what my Spanish professor told me." "¿Qué diablos?" my father shouted angrily. "Are you correcting me?" I was shocked and speechless. Time seemed to stand still. "Are you mute?" my father asked impatiently, glaring at me. "No, Papa, I was just—" "So now you think you're better than us because you are going to college," he interrupted me. "No faltaba más." That's all I needed. He pushed his plate away. I'm sorry, Papa. I didn't mean to disrespect you, I said nervously. My mother signaled for me to be quiet and said tenderly, Is your food cold, viejo? Do you want me to heat it up? No, my father said, calming down. I was anxious to leave the table and for the evening to end. Tomorrow I start work at dawn, I said, rubbing my hands under the table. I'd better unpack and get to bed early. My father glanced at me and gave me a slight grin. I sighed in relief. He then motioned for me to give him a hand in getting up. My back is killing me, he said, bracing himself on my shoulders. I walked him to his bedroom and helped him get into bed. My mother came in with a glass of water and 2 aspirin pills, which she handed to him. After he took them, he placed the half-empty glass underneath the bed because he believed it kept away evil spirits. This is your home, Panchito, he said softly. I know, I said, glancing at the image of the Virgen de Guadalupe hanging on the wall above his bed. That evening, while my brothers and sister did their homework at the kitchen table, I took a walk around the ranch. The sun was just beginning to disappear. Benetti Ranch, like my family and me, had both changed and stayed the same. The dilapidated army barracks that Bonetti, the owner of the ranch, bought after the Second World War and rented to migrant farm workers remained the same. Looking like victims of the war themselves, the dwellings had broken windows, parts of walls missing, and large holes in the roof. Weeds invaded the old, rusty pieces of farm machinery scattered throughout the ranch. The potholes in the dirt paths that circled the front of the barracks were larger and deeper. Bonnie and Mangy, stray dogs, roamed the ranch, scavenging for food from the 3 large oil barrels that now served as garbage cans for the residents. The paint on the outside of our barrack, which was about 30 feet wide by 60 feet long, our family lived in half of the building, which was partitioned into 2 bedrooms and the kitchen, was cracked and chipped, and the front screen door was torn. Our outside toilet, which was shared with our neighbors, leaned to one side. The shed on the side of our house, where we took baths in a round aluminum tub, was in need of repair, and the water was oily and foul-smelling like rotten eggs. As the coastal fog rolled in and covered the valley like a large gray sheet, I felt chilly and went back inside and got ready for bed. My mother, father, and sister slept in one room. My 3 younger brothers, Trampita, Torito, and Ruben, slept in the second room in a twin bed next to me, which I had shared with Roberto before he got married. The next day and for the rest of the summer, I worked again for the Santa Maria Window Cleaners, the janitorial company that employed me during high school. It was the same company that Trampita worked for after I left for college, so he could continue helping to support our family. That summer, Trampita and Torito picked strawberries for Ito, the Japanese sharecropper. As usual, my old job was routine and tedious. In the early morning every day, I cleaned the Western Union before it opened at 7, and Betty's Fabrics. I then helped Mike Neville, the owner of the company, clean houses, doing windows, washing walls, stripping and waxing floors. In the afternoons, I worked alone, cleaning and scraping paint off windows, appliances, and tile counters in the newly built apartments near Hancock College. In the evenings, I cleaned the gas company on the main street, and late at night, twice a week, the Standard Oil Company. I worked 70 hours each week, and the money I earned helped my family make ends meet. Unfortunately, I had little time to spend at home. As time went by, though I did not mind this too much because of my father, his dark moods, which worsened every day, were quickly dominating our lives. He regularly complained about everything and criticized everyone, especially my mother. Often he stayed in bed all day and refused to shave, eat, or talk to anyone. At times he locked himself in a storage shed that was in the middle of the ranch where Bonetti kept building supplies. None of us felt relaxed or happy around him, but we continued praying for him and being respectful. When I had free time, I visited my brother and his wife and their baby daughter Jackie, who lived in a one-room apartment in 2. Roberto worked as a janitor for the Santa Maria Unified School District during the week and cleaned commercial offices on the weekends. One evening when I got home from work, a week before I was to return to college, my mother told me that my father had gone to the storage shed again that morning and refused to come out. "Go get him, mijo. Maybe he'll listen to you," my mother said, tearing up. "I'll try." I put my arm around her. She then took 2 bananas and a handful of Fig Newton cookies and filled a glass with milk and placed them on a large plate and handed it to me. "See if he'll take this. He hasn't eaten all day." My father liked eating bananas and milk products because he said they eased his stomach pain. When my mother hurriedly opened the front door to our house for me, I stood on the front steps for a few seconds until my eyes adjusted to the darkness. I walked carefully, holding the plate with both hands, until I got to the storage shed. I set the plate down on the ground and placed my ear against the front door. I could not hear anything. My heart was racing. I knocked lightly. No answer. I knocked again, more forcefully. "¿Quién es?" I heard my father ask wearily. "It's me, Panchito. I've got something for you to eat." I waited and waited for a response, and then I heard a moaning and boards rattling. "Papa, are you okay?" The door creaked open slightly, and dim light went on inside. I pushed the door wide open and went in. My father was struggling to lie down on the makeshift bed he had made out of old plywood boards. He was as pale as a white sheet and had dark circles under his eyes and disheveled hair. I'm very tired," he said, reaching out to touch me. I bent over and held his hand. I then helped him sit up with his back leaning against the wall. "You have to eat." I brought in the plate, placed it by his side, and peeled one banana and handed it to him. He chewed slowly, staring into space. After he finished eating, I persuaded him to come back into the house. My mother, anxiously waiting for us at the door of our barack, helped me put him into bed. "Pobrecito que lastima me da verlo sufrir," she said, crying. "It hurts me to see him suffer." "I know," I said gently, placing my arm around her shoulder. I felt a deep sadness. My father had changed so much from the time we first crossed the border.